Warminster is an historic market town in southwest Wiltshire in southern England and sits on the western edge of Salisbury Plain. Warminster for centuries had been a quiet country town up until Christmas Day 1964, when strange objects began to appear in the skies. Roger Rump was a local postman who at the time of the incident was at home in bed in Hillwood Lane. He was suddenly awoken by a loud rattling sound which sounded like tiles falling from his roof, and this was just the beginning. 2 weeks later, his neighbours by the name of Marson were awoken 3 times one night. The loud noise sounded like rocks being tipped down the side of their exterior wall. A woman by the name of Rachel Atwell from Beacon Hill was awoken by a strange noise around 4 a.m, and when she went to the bedroom window to try and find the source of the sound, she saw a cigar-shaped glowing object hovering in the sky. She claims that it was bigger and brighter than any star she had seen. Another neighbour by the name of Kathleen Penton witnessed the same bright object, claiming it looked like a railway carriage flying upside down, where all of its windows were lit up. By 1965, the amount of people witnessing UFOs in the skies above Wiltshire started to grow. Patricia Phillips and her 3 children watched in awe for 20 minutes one evening as a cigar-shaped object hovered above them, and all in all, there were a total of 17 people who all witnessed the strange object in the sky. However, other than just witnessing the objects, some people claimed that weird things were starting to happen. On one occasion, a large flock of pigeons mysteriously fell out of the sky, and naturalist David Holton examined the bodies. Holton claimed that the pigeons could have been killed by sound waves, but where did they come from? Is it a coincidence that the death of the pigeons coincides with the many sightings of strange objects? A farmer found that several acres of ground he had left fallow was suddenly a mass of weeds, mainly silvery thistles that had been virtually extinct in England for almost 50 years. Is there any correlation between this and possible electromagnetism coming from the objects? Many researchers reported that electromagnetism has a positive effect on plant characteristics, such as seed germination, seedling growth, agronomic traits, and seed yield. In Warminster itself, the East Street Garden belonging to Harold and Dora Horlock attracted many horticulturists when ordinary thistles that normally grew to just over 5 feet rapidly grew to a height of 12 feet. Where was electromagnetism coming from that caused these plants to thrive? These unusual unnatural occurrences brought many television and radio teams to the town. Over a period of time, more unusual events were reported after strange lights continued to appear in the skies, causing animals to become agitated, cars that suddenly stalled for no reason, and electrical equipment to go haywire. In September 1976, Willie Kehean from Bishop's Castle, Shropshire, was driving to the Army Parachute Centre at Netheravon near Salisbury and was looking for a camping site. Without any luck, he decided to stop the car beside a farm gate in a village 2 miles from Warminster called Upton Scudamore. After locking the car doors, he drifted off to sleep, but woke up shivering in the early hours and found that the hatch door at the back of the car was wide open. He quickly closed the door and went back to sleep, only to have the same thing happen again a short time later. I could not understand how it had opened by itself. He was now feeling uneasy and made himself a coffee on his small stove. It was now 3 a.m. He could hear the distant sound of a train that was suddenly drowned out by an unusual humming that sounded like a swarm of bees. He then looked across a farm gate and could see a figure standing behind the gate barely 10 yards away. The figure looked to be about 7 feet tall, but Willie was not unduly concerned and figured it was the farmer coming out to check on his animals. Willie called out to the figure that he was only stopping there for one night, but the figure did not respond. Then a dark orange-blue light appeared to come from its chest, but still not feeling concerned, Willie continued to drink his coffee, believing it was a torch, and when he looked back up, the tall figure had vanished. Then the strange humming sound returned, and he could see a large object lift up into the air. It had a pink pulsating glow underneath it as he watched it disappear across the fields to about 45 degrees above the ground. Still not suspecting anything unusual, he figured it was the farmer towing something up a hill. When it was daylight, he looked across and found there was no hill. It was only later, after talking to some friends, that what had happened to him that night was highly unusual, and he came to the realization that he'd probably met an alien. Since 1971, Steve Evans and Roy Fisher would regularly leave their homes in London to go UFO hunting in Warminster, and claims to have been successful on 30 occasions, with 2 close encounters. On their first visit, they made their way to a vantage point on top of Cradle Hill, where they felt a force field that seemed to snake itself across the grass and crackled like static electricity. It came close to the feet of Roy Fisher before veering to the right. They observed sheep going frantic in the field. When daylight came, they walked out into the field and could see that the grass had been flattened as if something had landed there. Sally and Neil Pike were on Star Hill and witnessed 2 UFOs when all of a sudden the air around them became warmer. Suddenly 2 figures appeared that looked to be about 7 feet tall and looked as if they were made of smoke, while they could see their outlines down to their waist. Her husband Neil decided to approach the figures, and his wife said that he appeared to blend in with them, but by this stage her husband had lost sight of them. However, his wife continued to observe them, as her husband appeared to walk through the figures and out the other side. The smoky figures appeared to stay like that for about half an hour before they slowly faded away. Ken Rogers from London was director of the British UFO Society and visited Warminster to study the mysterious events. One night he went to Cradle Hill and came upon a huge white object that was blocking his track. He said it was a classic saucer design, and as he got closer he felt very hot and his hands started to sweat. He then walked right through the object, which seemed like a fog, but at the same time he could see every detail of the object clearly. Rogers believed that the UFOs are extraterrestrial forces, but he doesn't believe they mean us any harm and was not frightened by the incident. He believes they come here to study our progress.